Oh, shivers.
Oh, we're on.
I'm glad
podcasting.
the chairs are not very loud here at the light box. Right, team.
Good afternoon, team.
Hello.
Welcome to Live at the Light Box.
Shit, yeah. Well, I just get the podcast set
I
up.
feel like we're sitting like a long way away today.
Do we want to bring it forward?
Well, we've been training, so...
We've been coaching, haven't we? Shelley Hol's on. How are you, sweetie?
Shelley, I'm just going to move the noisy chair. There we go. That's better. We've been sitting here watching all the tourists.
Yeah, we have. So it's Feast on East.
Feast on East. The cruise ship's in. There's heaps of people walking up and down the street.
Yeah, East Shores. I was going to say, why do they call it East? Because it's East Shores.
That's why.
Feast on East.
We're both having a bad day.
Oh, I know.
So I said, what do they call
Trent
it?
Morris. I know. Book speakers. Yeah. What's the book about?
Hey, Trent.
About booking.
It's been a fabulous day today. There's a million cars down at East Shores.
Is there?
Oh, it's beautiful down there. You can spend
go
like
down on
the
the way.
whole day
Yeah,
there.
Hey,
Beautiful, the food and...
there's a heap of stuff going on
The
in Gladstone
weather.
as well, you said.
Yeah, it's a
Alana
huge
Kensler,
weekend.
how are you, girl?
Hey, Alana. We got to have
What's
lunch,
going
girl.
on? Yes.
We need to catch up. Yeah, there's heaps on this weekend.
I want to go to John Stevens
is
but I'm
on
sick.
tonight.
I love
Noiseworks
John
and In
Stevens.
Excess at the Harvey Road Tavern.
He is so spiritual, that man.
He's very spiritual.
You know, he used the word love.
He's a good
and all
singer
sorts of
too.
stuff. He talks in emotions. Remember, we communicate in emotions.
Oh. Is that while he's belting out tunes on stage?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. In
Mhm.
between them. He talks about connection and finding himself and all sorts of shit. Oh, he's great, man.
You going to go?
Sick.
Oh, you're sick. You poor thing.
Man flu.
You poor thing.
Man flu.
So that's 1,000 times worse than when we get sick.
Yes. At least 1,000.
It's like childbirth.
If not more,
Worse
Jaden.
than childbirth, I reckon, man flu.
Way worse.
Hey, Jaden.
Childbirth.
Yeah, dream on. There's a reason that women have the babies.
That's right, because we wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yes, that's right.
Now,
So
what
we've
else is going
also we have Under the Trees on
Under
in
the
Point
Trees.
Island tomorrow.
What is Under the Trees? That's just
It's like a
outdoor concert.
massive festival. It goes, I think, from 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. down at Point Island, and it's
Bands?
the little, the road down to where the golf club is there. There's all those big jacaranda trees, and
down
that's where
there.
they hold it, is under the trees. Ironically,
Strangely enough.
under the trees. So,
Did anyone write a song about that?
brilliant
No, that was Flame
festival for our little town again.
Yes.
Put on by the BTABC.
Who's the
who are
BTABC?
Point Tanam Arts Business and Community Association. They do BAM markets.
Is there such a
once
thing?
month. Of course there's such a thing. You need to get out
I
more.
do too.
It's a culmination of
Charlie Rogers.
a lot of other groups. They
Did my
formed the
time.
BTABC.
BTABC with Kylie's husband Dave.
Hi,
What a great
Kylie.
guy.
Hi,
How
Kylie.
long have you been married now, Kylie? Are you guys, we were 25 this week.
Oh, yes. Happy
20
anniversary
I
to you and Jules.
know.
25
How
years.
good.
That's a tattoo he's showing. It's not some weird
No,
hand symbol.
love her.
Yeah, that's for Julie. Congratulations, Julie,
and we got
for
our
putting
ring.
up with him
Redone. Look
for
at that.
25 years. I noticed that
Putting
was
up.
different.
Oh no, she did. Being
No,
patient. Being
You're a beautiful
patient.
couple, and it's
She's
lovely.
a good girl. She's a beautiful girl.
Lovely
And
that you have 25 years married.
And I was saying,
Wasn't just together. You were
29 years
29
together.
years together.
30 years together next year.
Two beautiful
30
sons.
years.
Two
Two
gorgeous
beautiful boys.
sons. Yes. So.
30 years next year. That's a long time.
What else is on this weekend? The Calliope markets are
Yeah,
on.
I like them.
Oh, next weekend's the Calliope Rodeo. The big McCosco Calliope Rodeo is
Did
Friday
McCosker
and
sponsor
Saturday.
that,
I'm
does it?
sure it's always been McCosker's. I'm
Is it?
pretty sure they still do it. I
Right.
better double check. I don't want to be given credit
All right.
if it's the wrong people.
And while you're-
Calliope Rodeo.
How do you do that with those nails so long? Talk me through it.
McCosker's, you don't touch with your nails, you touch with... Yeah, McCosker's, Calliope Rodeo. Look,
Calliope Rodeo. Look out.
Calliope Rodeo
Idiot
and
Wallback.
specialty events.
Oh, Sharon was here
So
last
that's
night at
next
the
weekend,
LinkedIn Local.
Friday and Saturday. Yeah,
Righty.
they had that last night here at the
We had the
Light
LinkedIn
Box.
Local. I
Had
don't-
dinner at the Light Box twice this week.
I'm-
I just like my second home. I love it.
Yeah, I know, me too.
Lunch here,
I-
dinner here.
I sometimes come and sit and
Beautiful.
just stay there the whole day.
Food's amazing.
I sometimes just put out on Facebook, hi, come up and I'll buy you coffee.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But that sucks because everyone shows up.
Well, then you don't get any work done.
Oh, I know.
You're supposed to hide up here to get work done.
Jason Story, no.
Hey, Jason.
The
Ashley.
CO.
Oh, Sharon Bell. Yep. I
Sharon
saw
Bell.
Shazzy last
Jason
night. Had
Story.
big hugs. They've just got married.
Hey,
Sharon.
yes, I
Sharon,
know.
congratulations again.
Jace, beautiful man, COO of UE Insurance.
Oh, wow. Oh, and he's
Oh,
our big fan. Lorraine would have to be our
Oh,
biggest fan.
Lorraine, she's like our,
She is.
just our
She
group
is.
groupie. Guins and Ros,
It was good to see you
back.
last night
It
too,
was
Shazzy.
good.
I need to ring. I need a
Thank
new
you
office
again.
chair. Sharon works for Biz
Oh,
Food,
his phone.
and I need a new office
Well,
chair.
they do good office chairs too. Our
Mine
office
is so
fitted out.
old. You know, like the old recliner chairs
Really?
that the old grumpy men have in
Jenny
the lounge room.
Haywood.
They never want to get rid of.
Yeah,
I
you
have
got
an
one of
office chair
those.
like that.
Right.
I've never found anything more comfortable. The
No, I know.
vinyl's peeling off it. I got a towel on it so the
Really?
vinyl doesn't
Oh,
stick
stick
to the
your
back of my
legs. You need a new one, girl.
Yeah, so
Sharon will help you out. Oh, look
Yes.
at that's Lorraine giving us
Hi,
a bit of love.
it's
So, very
it's a
quickly.
big couple of weeks.
Can I tell you what's going on in October?
Oh,
Oh,
Please
the
do.
phone.
please do.
Please do.
Yes.
And you're coming. So that's going to be great.
Thanks, Shazzy. I am
I'll
coming.
Sort you out. I'll sort you out, Ross, she says.
I think it will be, and it's popular. You got heaps of people
we
coming.
we've filled this event. I'm just waiting on one more lady, and she's
And
training on it today.
congratulations to you for marketing it.
Oh,
so
thank
well.
you. Yeah,
it's
well,
going
it's
to be a
not
great
me.
weekend.
It wasn't even me. I didn't even market it. It was our lovely ladies at what is Kerry's business called? I don't even know what she calls herself.
Where
She's just Kerry Fitzgibbon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the one that marketed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been on
She's
your
so
videos and that talking about it though.
Yeah, she's. Oh, yes.
Hammering out the videos.
Yeah, hammering the
Get
videos.
some more tourists. We should
And hopefully-
interview them.
We should.
He's a bit lost.
They don't look like great interviewees, just
No.
quietly, just between us.
Yeah.
But we will see if we can find a nice interviewee. Don
will.
McIntosh,
Hey,
how are
Don.
you, bro?
That must be the cruise ship must be in for hours today
Must have been, huh?
because they've been walking up and down those streets for a long time. Hope
Yeah,
they haven't
yeah.
missed the boat.
Yeah, that's right. So,
So come on, plug your big
so we're
event.
going October 26, 27, public speaking retreat, master your fears.
Get better at communicating and speaking.
Communicate, find your voice, baby. And we so we only wanted 10 because I want a really personalised service. Like
Yes.
I'm talking video,
Yes, Andy.
video you
Yeah.
like this. Hold on, where's my hands going?
Mm-hmm.
Video you
Yep.
at the start of it,
Yep.
and then we go away and do some work, and we
Yeah.
come back and video you at the end of it and see what's improved.
Oh,
'Cause
wow.
that's what it's all about. Like seriously, it's
Sounds
you will
confronting
not-
and challenging,
very.
but very
you
exciting.
will not get this service anywhere.
Very
And don't
exciting.
worry, I've done all the public speaking workshops around Australia. I've been to Matt Churches, whose speakership is Australia's best.
Yes.
And I've
And
paid.
you're very good at it.
Oh, thank you.
Very good at public speaking.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Simon.
Nudgy college. Love
I reckon half a nudgy college comes on here on a Friday afternoon.
They do too. And it's just so good to see because they just all make me smile, these boys.
So I'm
And
going to
see-
ask you a question.
Holy shit. Is it a hard
What
one?
do you want people to get out of becoming better communicators? Not just for your event, but in
Connection,
general. So you know how many people are afraid of. We were talking about,
talk me through
you
it.
know, how many people are afraid if they walk into a room of just going up to a group of strangers and introducing themselves and talking. So many people are afraid of that. So
What do you think drives it?
probably a lack of education with regards to the ability to do that without having like an anxiety attack.
Do you think education's a problem?
Well,
So I could
training.
I could tell you how to go and there's a dude sitting over there. I could tell you how to go and so I could say, right, walk up to him, make eye contact, and say, hi, how you doing? Use his first name, or tell him your
Yeah.
first name's Ros. Would that help you? Would training help you?
No, I actually have gotten way better over the years. I used to be very
No,
afraid,
but
but
I know you're good at
if
it.
you
But I'm
told
just
me-
saying someone else. If I trained
No.
someone to go and have a conversation with someone they didn't know,
No, you probably have to. I don't know. That's why I'm dying to get to this thing and find
Right.
out how do you get people to be better at that.
could I unpack it a bit for you?
Because, you know, people literally have a meltdown. A lot of people can't stand the thought of not just talking in front, like
Talking to someone that-
presenting.
not
It's
just presenting,
having
just
a
talking.
conversation.
Oh,
if
I
you're at
know.
a party or
Yeah.
a local, like last night, the LinkedIn event
That's
last
right.
night,
Oh, there was
some people
that
are just
couldn't do it.
terrified
I know.
of you know,
Talking.
just
For people that don't
walking
know.
up to someone they don't know, introducing themselves and knowing what to do next, let alone turning up at the event in the first place.
People find it difficult when it comes to small talk. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Lauren.
It is,
Oh,
and
thanks, Sharon.
it's about not knowing how to engage, and because you don't want to just go up, oh hi, I'm Ros, and
That's right.
that's the end. That's really awkward. You've got to learn how to, you know, prompt the other person.
Absolutely.
Because they might be just as scared as you are.
Oh, and they would be.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Hi Graham,
So can I give you a story?
go for it. I want to hear all about this.
So I was lucky enough to, and there was a sort of a prezzo that changed my life a little bit yesterday. I spoke at CQU,
That was
So-
the one we thought would be challenging
we
because you
did.
had a really short time
Because I
frame.
had half hour.
And you said it went really well.
And it went really well. And it was really nice. Great audience. Ask questions, of course.
Yes, definitely.
Don McIntosh, you don't want to feel like an idiot.
See, Lorraine, yes.
Terrified is one word that comes
That's
to
true, Don.
mind.
You don't want to feel like an idiot.
That's right.
And
But
you
that-
do. A lot of people are terrified.
But see, feeling like an idiot's a choice. It's a personal choice, Don. Do you know what I mean, man? You don't have to if you don't want to. Even
Yeah,
if,
but people judge themselves more than they judge anyone else.
Correct.
So that's, I think,
Correct.
Don means you don't
I know what
want
he
to.
means. I get that.
It's hard to.
You don't want to feel like a dickhead, right?
Yeah.
I get that.
I said that to you before, though, when you talked about doing a presentation at the public speaking.
Yeah.
You know, and you said you're going to make everyone do something
Out of their
on the
comfort
morning
zone.
and then do it. And you want to be prepared because
Absolutely. And they won't be prepared. So
is
I'm
there
gonna take them out.
preparation in someone walking into a room then and just striking up a
Absolutely.
conversation? So
Absolutely.
how would you prepare for that?
Well, let me tell you a story first. So I spoke at CQU yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, everyone in the world, like CQU and like everyone else, wants the big 3 tips or the big 5 or
Yeah.
the big 7. Go and Google, 3 tips to do how to do something.
Yeah.
Everyone wants the tips. But it doesn't change. Naji college.
Hey, Michelle and David.
So it doesn't change behaviour. Knowing how to do something does not change behaviour. I'm here to tell you, team, you've heard it straight from Guins and Ros on a Friday hour. Knowing how to do something doesn't
So
mean...
what changes behaviour?
Right, well, that's
That's
a
the
great
big
question.
question.
I've been trying to use people's names. I feel weird. Example, supermarket, where I am, right?
So are you talking about remembering people's names, Lorraine? Like if you meet someone? Or, something else? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Sounds like it weirds Lorraine out, actually,
Yeah.
using names. But if it helps Lorraine, it's everyone's favourite word on the planet. Our ED can't. Yeah, how's that, bro?
Okay.
So ED is, it's a disease, man. It's a crippling disease. I spoke at their camp, 2 years ago, Don, and it was such a major experience in life, man.
See, that's a good thing if you know you have things in common. So
And that's easy. So that's called rapport.
Yeah.
As you know.
So last night, then you would go with the mindset that most business people are fairly good at that networking stuff anyway. But if you're going to something that you know, like having something in common is a good way to start a
Absolutely.
conversation and
What
ask questions about that.
What business are you in? Everyone says, what business? And turn up to a networking event with your names on your shirt. Genetic condition.
Okay.
ED,
Sad, Don.
unbelievable, Don. Unbelievable. Skin ages, teeth fall out. Like it's a really weird thing, ED. Trying to use these names sometimes often don't do it, even with friends. I know.
That's true.
And it's disrespectful, Lorraine, me to you girls, said with love.
Yeah.
It's disrespecting people not to use their first name.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got a lot of friends who
Say I'm not good with
it's
names.
a term of no. Like if we're because she's talking about even with friends and we a lot of friends and we do the how are you, doll? How are you, babe?
Yeah,
how are you,
and that's
love? How
okay.
are you?
And
And it's
that's
a term
okay.
of endearment.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I
Still-
went up to some of my friends and called them their name, they'd think that I was upset with them or something because I've never called them their name. It's just
Right.
yeah. So,
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
If you've got a term of endearment, that's just a special because it's something between you.
so what is the way to connect?
Right.
You were going back to what you said before.
I need to tell you a story. I need to go the long way. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So in Rocky yesterday, in half an hour's time, I spent probably that much of the half hour.
At the uni. This
the
is
uni?
yeah.
So just to give everyone no sweat, and they don't sweat.
Oh,
ED's not
okay.
sweat.
Oh,
It's a
wow,
tragic,
that would be
tragic
awful.
thing.
Yeah.
Tragic
That
thing.
would cause a lot of
Oh,
problems.
how horrible!
Yeah.
And Don would overheat, so he needed to go and live in the snow so that he didn't get too
Oh,
hot.
wow,
I know,
that's
it's
awful.
a tragic thing. Terry Clark. So,
Hey, Terry.
so I had half an hour to talk about how. This is the question: how can we build a recognition culture in our business?
That's
So
hard
culture-
in half an hour.
Oh, I know. That's what I said. I said, I'm only going to get through the first story. So we did, and I said to him up front, I'm not going to tell you all the how. So if you're here to hear all the how-tos, you're probably not in the right
We
place.
haven't got enough time.
Oh, that's right. Well, I have. I've got heaps of time. I could have given them the top 25.
Yeah, but
That won't change your behaviour, though.
yeah.
So here's the hows. This is the why.
Yeah.
This is the why. Why do you want to build a recognition culture? I said, I'll give you some emotional experiences right now that will change your behaviour more than anything else.
Yeah.
I said, so you want to build a recognition culture, and at the moment you're thinking about you. You want your boss to come and say, great job,
Yeah.
mate, well done, bro, or sis. Have you ever thought that your boss or your leader might want to be recognised as well. Has he or she got human needs? How long since you've gone and said, thank you very much, I appreciate your effort and all you do for our team?
Wow,
Do you know how many? Yeah, I know.
that's a really good point.
Is that an interesting question?
It is.
So how many people you reckon put their hand up out of
Not
100,
many.
200?
Not many.
3.
Wow.
Right, so I said, okay, so you want to start a recognition culture. You want it all to be about you. You're not willing to do any work, and it's not important enough for you to recognise other people's behaviour.
Did you get a reaction from that?
Shit, yeah. And I even got an email
Would have
after
guessed
it.
you would have.
I got an email within half an hour. I get, oh, spot on, she says. Oh, thank you, Sharon Bell.
Very spot on.
So I get an email. By the time I get home, I could read it to you. So it's on here. Actually, we're podcasting the shit out of this. So I said, now do you...
So is this from one of the employee, or like the
one of the people that were there?
in the... Yeah?
I shit you not.
A leader?
I shit you not. I'll just... I'll get you to read it for me.
Okay.
When I get it, and it won't take me long to find it because it was just yesterday.
So that would have opened up a whole dialogue between, like, they wouldn't have expected that, would they?
You have a read of that first, then I'll check.
Okay.
No, they didn't. I said, look, if you can, in the next half hour, have an emotional experience to understand why this shit's so important, you will go out and do it.
You were engaging and funny. That's good feedback.
I was engaging and funny. That's great. And so...
I like that.
And so it's not how you do shit, it's why you do shit. Why don't we... Here, and don't listen to me, this is an email that came in within an hour of me getting home.
Hi Anton, thank you so much for the keynote you provided today at the staff conference. I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. For me, you were very engaging and funny, but you also spoke in a way that was easy to understand and provided examples that were relatable. One of the takeaways for me was providing recognition in both directions. Isn't this the truth? I am a coordinator of a small team, and it isn't something I remember receiving often.
She doesn't. Wow. Now she's going, hold on.
But at the same time, I can't remember the last time I have thanked my managers. So she's going up the ladder as well. I will definitely be more conscious of this moving forward. And then she would like a copy of your book, so don't forget that.
Which I'm going to send it to.
So isn't that great? Isn't that really
good?
Yeah, I think it's obviously, yeah, 3 people out of 200 put their hand up.
Yeah. And so what I asked them to internalise was how it feels when you get feedback. And there's a great quote from a guy called Charles Taylor, who's a philosopher out of Canada, who says that a lack of recognition is actually oppression. If you don't recognise someone's behaviour, it's not as if you're doing a disservice. You are oppressing them because it's so important.
That's interesting,
isn't it?
Yeah, very.
And it's like you and your business. Let's jump to you for a sec. Do you like being recognised by your clients for doing a good job?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's recognition is a form of feedback. It's a form of feedback.
Oh, that's the next thing that we're going to talk about in a sec. So let me ask you this. Here's a challenge for you. Do you ever give your clients feedback and say thanks for being great clients?
Oh, absolutely. I've got messages recently from people that we've worked with recently, and I have been into their home and talked to them about preparing the house for sale and decluttering. They've done it. One lady's even gone to the point of she had a budget to do some work to the house and painted it. Replace fans, all those things. And then I've gone in and staged the property, which is part of my service. And we keep going back and forth with this recognition of, I said, I appreciate so much all the effort you've done. You're a really good client because you have listened to everything. It's going to make it easy. And then she's come back with, well, I can't believe how much hard work you did to stage the property, and I spent 6 hours there dressing it for sale. And I think when you have a client who listens to you regarding your pricing feedback and what needs to be done to the house to get it ready for sale and maximise their return and all of those things, of course, I recognise that.
Good on you. No, it's great.
Absolutely.
Great. But you think about how many businesses don't go out and thank their clients. I thank their clients for being great clients.
And I hear you often when we're talking about clients you work with, you often recognise and thank them for their business. And
it's grateful, gratitude.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sharon.
I have this belief about communication that once it comes out of your mouth, the universe picks it up and takes it to the person that you're talking about, good, bad, or ugly. That's why we don't gossip. That's why, I try not to gossip. I'm sure I do sometimes. Well done, Ros. Go you. So,
Thanks, Lorraine.
So that's why gossip's so bad, is because that other person hears it anyway. Because the universe makes sure they do. Which, thank you, universe. Is still they pass on the good stuff too. So that's nice. Anyway,
are there people that struggle with receiving good recognition?
depends
when,
how it's delivered.
And if you are someone who struggles to accept compliments, I think it would be hard. There's the apologetic people who are just.
Well, let me ask you this: can you tell if someone gives you recognition that's not sincere?
I believe so.
Oh, of course you can.
I believe it's very easy to.
So what might their intent be if they're giving you recognition that's not sincere? What might the intent be? What's the first thing you think? What are the first 4 words?
They don't mean it.
Well, let me ask you that. What do they
really think
want?
Oh, okay.
Or what is their agenda?
Okay.
Why are they saying that?
True, that's true.
like your head, you do those ones. Someone gives you recognition and it's not sincere, and it's not relevant, and it's not specific.
I was going to say Sharon just said they want something from you. It could be driven by jealousy.
It could be driven by anything.
So there's they do want something. They're actually only giving you that recognition because they're sucking up, basically.
Correct. It's usually manipulation.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's call it what it is. Recognition with the wrong intent is usually manipulation, where they're trying to get something that they don't have or that they don't deserve. Right? And that is actually your.
So that can work both ways. So that can work for an employer giving recognition to an employee, or the other way around, the employee
giving it to a supervisor,
sucking up because they want next week off.
That's right.
You're the best boss on the planet, and they just, by the way, can I have next week off?
We call those people boots, because that's what you
we
see
got
hanging out the boss's bum.
We got another.
We've got another dude behind us.
Every week we get someone standing behind us.
So,
we should start renting this space out. We should. So who wants their banner up here this week?
Why don't we do that? We should put business proudly sponsored by.
We should.
Why don't we do that?
Gina, we should be proudly sponsored by Livebox. We give the screens up here for the entertainment centre, so that's usually a good ad for them.
And their chairs.
Hi, Gina.
Whoever makes their chairs, they should be sponsoring. They should be paying us.
Yes.
Our counselling fees for the last year,
don't
psychology
so much
fees.
About these chairs.
So anyway, and the thing about recognition, let's just go, because it's one of the most important parts of our communication.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like water. It's like the sun. It's like anything. So actually, I told a story yesterday. When Joey was at uni, Joey's a CQ graduate, right?
Brother Joey, yes.
And
just for those watching.
Yeah, so Joey Guinea, 11 months younger than me. Unit.
Yes.
So when I finished school, I didn't pass so well. So I went out into the trade environment, and Joey went to uni, right? So
is that because you played up at Nudgee? Yeah.
And they thought I should go somewhere else to obtain my education, not there.
Okay.
And so when Joey started, he found this word called juxtaposed.
Okay.
Which is, hey, big fella. Hey, mate. Juxtaposed is an interesting word.
Yes.
Which means in striking opposition to each other.
Okay.
So totally opposites, right?
Yeah. Interesting word.
So he decided for every assessment item that he was going to do for the next 4 years, he was going to use the word juxtaposed.
Okay.
As you do. And so he did.
How do you even spell that?
I know, Juxtaposed.
I'm going to look it up later.
Yeah, it's a great word.
Yeah.
And by the 4th year, he'd used it in every assessment item. In his 4th year, it came back with a red pen. Wrong context, Joe.
Oh,
he had the wrong.
He overused the word.
No,
he just used it.
He didn't overuse it. He used it with the wrong definition. So it means strikingly opposed.
That's what I mean. If he used it all the way through his uni, and he got to the point where he was shoving it in where it didn't fit.
It didn't fit because he used it as together.
Did that really cut? That would have cut him, because he would have known by then the true meaning of that word.
Oh, it was great. No, I think he just laughed. Nudgee college. Because he got 51% or something for his degree. P's get degrees. Every 1% over 50 was an hour that he should have spent doing something else, he said. So
was that bad? Was that feedback but not recognition, obviously?
Feedback was bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, everything in life has got a juxtaposition about it, right? So which means that there's differing parts of the same thing.
So it's like an alpha and an omega, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
Opposing energy forces. So
Like
let's imagine.
Magnetic.
That's it.
Negative magnetic force. Okay.
So let's take water for example.
Yeah.
We need water to live. Let's put that over this side. We need water to live. Our bodies are 70% water. We drink water, and our water comes from along with air.
Yes.
Now,
well, it comes from the sky first. But
well,
we haven't seen any in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So
too.
dry, yeah.
So let's say it's coming from the dam.
So the dam, yeah.
Now let's say you went out swimming in the dam. Let's say you
got a cramp and
drowned and your head went under for too long.
Yeah.
The same water you're going to drink
to keep you alive
will kill you.
That's
same
true.
Water.
That is so true.
Is that
what that word means?
Juxtapose. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is an example of juxtaposition. Now, what's that got to do with recognition? Well, you know what? You can build relationships up so much with recognition. You can really, if you do it properly. And I'll tell you what the 3 tips are. Well, I'm going to tell you why first.
Yeah.
On the 3 ways to do it. So you can build up people, you can increase relationships, you can change teams if you do it with the right intent.
Your book doesn't blow away.
If you do it with the right intent.
Yeah.
And the intent is all of those things to care. We're talking care factor.
Care factor, yeah.
If you don't care enough, you'll never do the recognition anyway. But if you care enough and you know why recognition is important, you'll go and do it properly with the right intent, with the right care factor. Now, if you don't do it with the right intent, you'll destroy relationships. Mm-hmm. It's like breaking trust. And people read through that really, really fast. What's your take on it? So,
well, I think your that BFO, blinding flash to the obvious, as far as it going both ways. I think that's really interesting because, you know, when you are a leader, you try to give out recognition as much as you can, and you know that it's about caring for your people, and whether that be in the form of, I guess it's like the love languages, isn't it, really? You know, we talk about in relationships, we've talked about the love languages, but I guess in a position where you can give and receive recognition of in any relationship, it's almost like you have your own love language. You know, I might buy a lot of gifts for my employees. You might give them a day off. You might give them, you know, an afternoon off. You might say to them, you know, oh, here's a voucher for you and your partner to go out for dinner or whatever it might be. So going back the other way, I think you don't often as an employer expect that that's going to come back to you, and that you need to look further above you as to what you're, you know, what you're going to say for your managers above you or whatever. So I think that, what's that word?
Juxtaposition.
I'm not going to be able to say that word. I think, you know, the metaphor, I guess, of using it regarding the recognition side of things.
Recognition.
I think you need to be able to identify when it's being done from a suck-up point of view. And like Sharon said, do they actually want...
Do they care? It needs to be genuine.
It needs to be genuine. Are they just doing... is someone just doing it to get...
Something
back
that
from
they
you?
Don't deserve or that they don't have.
Mm-hmm. Or do they just want something from you? You know?
Yeah, that's right.
And
because they're trying to manipulate. Thank you. That's a good job. Because they're manipulating your behaviour.
And I guess it's got to be a balance, because as a leader or an employer or a business manager or whatever, you need to not just dish out the recognition when you want something else from your employees. So there needs to be that balance of, you know, don't just lay it on thick.
Do it because you want to, not because you have to.
Because you probably have a culture in your workplace then of,
G'day, how are you?
G'day. The bosses come in and all of a sudden, you know, they're laying on the gifts and the days off and the, you know, work lunches, and I'm taking you all out for a game of golf.
That's right.
And then if you have that pattern within your workplace, you would say the boss look out, something's coming.
Something's
They want something out of us because this happens every time.
I know. See,
Every
there's
time.
no science.
No.
Actually, there is science in it, but it's so simple.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it
very
just happens all in our bodies.
And it's not even within a workplace, I think, Anton, in a relationship, a husband-wife
fine
relationship.
line between
or
manipulation and winning friends and influence.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it a fine line?
Imagine you could capture this. Change from being a kid.
I think it just all comes back to intent, eh?
That's true, Don. Did you read what Don wrote?
Imagine you could capture that exact moment in time when you change from being a kid, talking openly to everyone, to when you grow up and you're embarrassed. Wouldn't it make communicating easy?
It
I agree,
would, Don.
bro.
I totally agree.
And
And you know what? There's got to be
so-
some
hold on,
form
let's just
from
unpack
childhood.
that.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I was just going to
So let's
say. What
unpack
is
it.
it? You
I don't know.
being the
well,
coach.
Well, this is what I think it is. It's inhibitions.
But
you know when you're a kid-
where does that come from? Because as a kid, you're born
I'll show you
without
where it
that.
comes from. Here, Don made the comment before. I'll show you exactly where it comes from.
Genetic. Oh,
No,
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 that's
no.
not the comment.
There it is.
You just don't want to feel like an idiot. Yeah, but that comes from something, Anton. You know, is it your
Yeah.
parents saying, don't talk to
Yes,
strangers,
absolutely.
don't
So much
talk
easier.
when
Oh.
there's adults in the room, don't, you know, the conditioning as a child where kids will just talk to anyone and trust anyone and
And kids should be seen and not heard. Remember that shit?
that's right. Is it from that? Is it you need to know when it's appropriate to talk? You know, your mother kicking you under the dinner table.
Yeah.
We had you know, our parish priest when we were raised Catholic, and the priest used to come over for dinner, and I had two sisters. Not at all, as long as you don't mind us talking to our computer. You know, we used to have the parish priest over for dinner, you know, every couple of months or whatever, and we'd sit around the table, and occasionally you'd say something, and Mum would kick you under the table. It was almost like you knew then to shut up. It was like
Taboo.
you're either saying the wrong thing or you're speaking when it's out of
you just
out
used
of
the
turn,
Lord's
or
name in vain or
you've
something.
just
Overcoming fear of failure and finding confidence.
the most horrified my mother ever was. Yeah, our good Catholic upbringing and family, and my mum's a very good Catholic. And the parish priest came over for dinner, and it was Lent,
And you had
and
meat.
it was a Friday.
Oh, no.
And Mum dished up
Chops
dinner, and it was
or
a big
something.
fat. We grew up on a cattle property, so big fat. Mum dished up a big fat steak, and then
no.
we.
What did the priest say?
She was mortified. No, he was fine. He actually was very good about it and said, "I'm sorry, I won't be eating that." And
Right.
the penny dropped.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were kicking Mum under the table then.
Lorraine's got the look that she gives them. The look.
Yes, the kids can get the look, but there's obviously a transition from when you, and it's part of your conditioning as a
That's
child. So that, and do you think circumstantially, when you grow up and you're a teenager, obviously there's things that will actually affect your ability to speak up, or you know, they always make you get up when you're at school and you've got to give the show and tell.
Yeah,
You've got to give
show and tell as a kid, and there's no problem. No one ever says, no 4-year-old ever says, "Geez, I'm really nervous about show and tell." They want to take in the bunny rabbit or the.
They bring
drawing
the, you know,
idea
you
or
bring
whatever, or the
bring your
snake or
parents
something.
at work day, and they've got to talk about what
jobs
your parents do or something like that, and that's all. You know, there's some point obviously where that starts to chip away at a lot of people, and they don't like talking in public.
That's right. When we all become self-conscious.
Yeah.
And we think that it's all about us instead of other people. When you're a kid, it's all about other people.
Well, you don't want to go up and just talk to anybody in the crowd. A lot of people. I mean, I don't think many kids are like that. There's shy kids.
Yeah, most kids have way more confidence than most adults,
So obviously,
especially when it comes to
there's
say
some
show and tell.
breakdown there.
Yeah, no, that's right. Well, we make our kids self-conscious. You know, just by the way, society makes you self-conscious.
And obviously, it's what you're around. It's you know, because I've always said I did party plan. My kids saw me speaking in front of groups of people from babies. You know, they are very confident now talking in a crowd or introducing themselves at a party because that's what they were around. They saw it happening around them, and
how many
confidently speak.
That's it. So, how many families do you reckon brought their kids up as public speakers? Like you?
Oh, very few.
One in 100.
There would not be a lot of people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not a skill that we promote at home. It's like sales. Who teaches sales at school? Public speaking. Who teaches that at school? They think they do. They don't. Who teaches negotiation at school? Like all of the life skills that you and I need every single day. We don't get them at school. And all we get is A, B, C's, D's, and E's. And if you get an E, well, you're done. All of a sudden,
that actually can bring people into their shell. Yeah, absolutely.
And so and I get now that we give people participation awards.
Son's getting.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe that moment could be when you're a teenager. Teenagers definitely.
It was
For self-consciousness.
funny, Lorraine.
And be an individual, but then also blend in and stand out. A very confusing time, of course, girl. Of course it is.
Oh, it is. And you know what? I think there's so much, like looking at me as an adult now and looking at how I reacted or was affected by things as a teenager, because I was so overweight at school. One, it created the people pleaser in me, because it was like, if I judged myself enough to think, if people don't like me because I'm a big girl, then I will behave in a way where people will like me. And that's where it was, I was a very huggy person. I was,
Probably a humorist.
I overdid, helped people. It was always, I was the one that did lots of things. Too. Oh, funny. You've got the sense of humor when you're, it's like a blanket. It's a protective shield, your sense of humor. My sister, my younger sister and I, we've always been very funny people and been very witty, because you had to have a quick comeback, because that was your wall. People knew you as the funny person, and but what your opinion of yourself is different to, like, other people tell me now, in the town I grew up in, and I have my mum's mum and dad's friends, we grew up in the small town, a lot of people are still out there, and they say, oh, I always remember you as, you're such a nice person, you're always really caring, but I was judging the hell out of myself.
Yeah.
So, and, I forced myself, I said I used to do rostrum. So I used to get up and do rostrum and...
like Toastmasters.
It's like and I did debating. I did a lot of debating.
Wow.
I used to get up there and literally I was dying inside.
What speaker
but
were
I
you?
forced myself.
Third speaker?
Usually third speaker.
Oh, that's the best one.
Yeah. Close the deal.
That's right.
But I think I was in the student council. Like, there was... I don't know if it was like because, I was a bit nerdy, because it meant I had a bit of a purpose, I suppose. But I guess I dealt with my anxiety of being in a crowd and being judged in a different way. It was almost like, if I do that, they'll notice me less.
Right.
They'll notice me for that and not my way. They'll notice, you know what I mean?
Right. No, I do.
So, although in saying that, my mum and dad have always been very confident. They've always, so I picked up, I guess, on that. They were always talking. If dad was a police officer,
what was mum?
Mum was a lot of things. She was huge into the community. She was a stay-at-home mum, but she also worked. Well, she was the secretary of the Claremont Show Society for many years. So she was the pavilion steward as they set up all the displays for the show. She did tuck shop, netball. She coached us in sport. There was lots of things. So we were always out in the community. And she did have certain jobs along the way. She ran a menswear boutique.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she opened a shop out there with a friend called, it was called Mr. Man.
Mr. Man. Cut the girl. Everyone remembers a different version of you, depending on their experiences they had with you at the time. Now, that
is very interesting and true. I think it's true. They do. What did you always say about people remember how you made them feel? Not what you said.
So Jules, and this is a Julie Guinea special, which I love and I'll never forget. She says...
about teaching the kids. I love this.
I love this. She says that, and this is her speak, the kids will never remember what I taught them. They'll only remember
how I made them feel.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. And
it's the most beautiful
from a beautiful
thing.
person.
I know, from a great teacher who just loves the kids. And
I think it must be so rewarding for her to, have teenagers now. Like the kids she would have initially taught.
They're all grown up.
20s and...
I teach them now in my sessions.
How cool is that?
They come through
and they say beautiful things about Jules.
I know, they love
their memories of her.
Yeah, she's some of their favourite teachers and all that sort of stuff. That's
it is exactly right, Sharon.
I'm not sure what I said, but thank you, Sharon Bell.
About
how we made them feel.
Yeah.
Cool. And so you imagine, Sharon, and thanks so much for recognising that. That's appreciated. That when we come into contact with people, it's not what we do or say or whatever. It's how they feel when they're around us.
And there's recognition, I suppose, is a big part of that.
Oh, big time.
You imagine going to the same workplace. I'm sure there's places like this. Imagine going to work every single day, and it's just a stale environment. Not allowed to have fun. Can't have a love. You can't. There's no caring at all. There's no job well done. There's no recognition of any kind. You just it would be a miserable life.
And there's some people who've got that life.
Yeah, it would be
You know,
a
this
miserable
lovely
life.
little girl, Katrina, stood up yesterday and asked me that question. And it's on how do we do it if we haven't done it? And it was like a cry for help. It was the most beautiful question. And I've actually podcasted the talk from yesterday. If you get a chance, I'm going to have that podcast loaded over the weekend.
On your website, the
on
Guinea
my
Group?
website. If you do nothing else, just go to the last 3 minutes there where she asked that question. And I said to her, well, that's such a great question. And I talked through, and it felt like it was leader down. It felt like she didn't get any, Jody, thanks for joining,
Hey,
any
Jody.
recognition. And I said, so what are you doing about that for a start?
Did she feel like she wasn't getting recognition?
Yeah. And not only that, she also did say that it was peer-to-peer as well.
Ah.
So, because recognition is like this as well.
It's across
recognition's three
cross
ways. That,
so you're
that,
good. Thanks
that.
for your help today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And I said, oh, well,
Well, you did a really good job today. Yeah.
It's got to be more specific than that, though, Ross. And I'm going to tell you about how specific we should make our recognition in a sec.
Yeah.
I said to her, though, you know, we can't get from other people what we can't give both to ourselves and others as well.
Mm-hmm.
See, our complaints about others in life are a projection of our own weaknesses or our own deficiencies. So if you ever hear yourself, do you remember the Star of the Week at the Observer, Rosie?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, we did do
Used to be
that.
Star of the
Yeah,
Week.
we
Right.
did.
And
I think we all voted on
you
like
go.
who we wanted to be the Star of the Week.
and that
Oh my God, that's like feels like 100 years ago.
And it's at CQU they had thanks a million cards, so you can write, oh, thanks a million, and this is thanks for that. That's nice.
That's really not. My manager gave me Employee of the Week once. She actually printed a certificate off
Good.
and put my name on it and said, "Love from your team." Yeah,
That's
and I
great.
thought, that's great. It's got to stuck it on the wall. So got Employee of the Week.
Good on you.
We don't have that, but she just made it up because it was funny.
Because you can.
Yeah.
How good did you feel, though?
Yeah, I did, and I've kept it, so it's on the
There
wall.
you go. Let's just jump back to the emotional
Yeah.
stuff, right? Because,
So why do you reckon she felt like that?
well, what she was actually saying was, she said, and I said to her, so you get the gift of feedback a lot, right? So there's
I like how you say that. The gift of feedback. Yep.
So there's recognition of a job well done, and there's the gift of feedback. Please do this better. And I
Yeah.
get that we need both of those.
Yeah.
I get that. People haven't earned the right, even your leader, even though they think they have, to give you the gift of feedback if they haven't done recognition. I'll
That's
tell you,
a really good
and I'll
point.
tell you why. How many times in a day, any worker, how many good things do they do in a day, a week, a month? Compared, absolutely, 90% of the time.
Yeah.
How many times do they stuff up in a week? Once, a month,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah.
What do we get the gift of feedback for? The one thing.
Yeah.
The
And then there's
one
not
thing.
that continual recognition of what they've done
What
well.
about all these other things that they've done well? You haven't earned the right to do this if you're not doing that, right? And I tell leaders that they you know, the shitty leaders don't get that. They say, well, it's my God-given right to give gifted feedback. Well, it's actually not. It's your God-given right to empower your staff and your team, and part of that is recognising their positive contribution to the business and to the organisation and team, and you should be doing that.
Really good point. And I guess that works both ways as well,
Pay packet is
because
recognition. Yeah, that's true too. I suppose.
well, you know, that's I was actually
No,
just going to point that out. You know, it's very easy when you're working for somebody to pick out that one time where they'll really screw up and
That's
not be a good leader.
That's it.
But you know, I've got a couple of people in my office. They constantly just thank me for having a job. They actually constantly
But isn't
just.
that nice?
It is. It's lovely.
That's
It's like I just
appreciation.
appreciate that I've got a job, and you know when you're looking at obviously employer down to employee and the feedback and the recognition. As I must say, as an employee,
Isn't it beautiful?
employer,
Isn't it beautiful?
to actually have someone just thank you
Yep.
for having a job. They're grateful that they know that I'm working to keep them employed, and they,
That's right.
you know what I mean. That's part of recognition, like Sharon said. Just to get a pay packet is
That's
recognition.
right. And I've been out.
As long as that's not the only recognition you're
No,
getting,
that's
is that you get paid every week.
I've been out interviewing CEOs and leaders, right? And one of them,
Thank you,
all
girls.
he wanted from his team, no, I can't find it. All he wanted from his team was for them to appreciate their job. That was all he wanted because he felt they didn't.
Wow, and see that to me,
Jayden.
I get that. I really get
Yeah,
that. Because
me
to
too.
have a couple of staff who say, "I'm just really grateful
I
that,"
won't, he's in
and
real
that's not
estate
the
too. He's
yes.
I'll show you. I'll give you the
Wow.
exact words. Long
Yeah.
words. Look at this.
Appreciate the role. Yeah, don't.
Oh, this is what I want.
Hang on. Gotta just find it.
Where
there.
is it?
Oh, where's my finger? Here.
Appreciate the role. This is his big want. He wants people to stay in the business. He wants dedication.
Yeah,
he wants
that's
focus.
true, Sharon.
I get that.
Very
But he wants people to appreciate the role.
And you know what? As a
Hey, Jade, you're a champ too, bro.
as an employer, that's why it's nice for me to hear that. You know, especially when people who are working for you, especially in a small team, they know how tough our market's been. They know how much because my income is wholly and solely. You know,
Based
my
on your
office is
work.
wholly and solely
Solely.
dependent on the
Your
work I
income.
go out and
That's
do
right.
because that's what pays our bills
Me
and that's
too.
what pays the
Oh,
wages.
no, me and Leslie, and a few of us.
You know, but to actually have someone who gets that and they know that if I'm working 7 days a week and getting home at 7 and 8 o'clock every night, to hear that recognition means a lot.
Beautiful.
It does mean a lot.
It's our.
Because you know what, I'm the worst. I'm my own worst judge as far as
Me
knowing
too.
when I've done a bad job. I think you can give
We
yourself
give it to
recognition
ourselves.
and feedback.
We
can't
give
you?
ourselves. Mate,
You can.
you speak to yourself way worse than you'd speak to anyone else.
Absolutely.
You would never speak to anyone else the way you talk to yourself.
Yes.
And it's just what we do. And the thing about
You're having a win, Jade Master.
having a win, bro. Having a win. He's a rat bag. He's one of Zach's mates. Drunk and loud.
I've probably met him
He's
then.
a beautiful boy. I love Jade.
Hey,
We'll appreciate
yes,
the
that's
role
true,
with the
Jade.
right leader.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
that's because the leader cares, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And the leader has the right intent. So yesterday, I wish I brought my research actually. So for this thing in CQ, I actually built some models for them.
Yeah.
I actually did a survey online for them. And
You did, because I did that last
you did the survey.
Yeah, I
for
did
me.
the survey. That's
Because I
right.
really wanted to unpack this. What do you reply when someone says, "I don't think you appreciate what you have"?
Ooh.
That's
Are we talking a boss, an employer-employee situation?
Lorraine.
If you're talking about your husband, that's a problem.
Or if you're saying that to your kids,
Yes,
it's a different story.
I think personal relationships,
Relationships.
that's a different scenario to if you're talking a boss-employee.
Boss,
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know many leaders.
I would actually find that
you
offensive
say
if
that?
it came
Yeah, I
from
would.
a boss.
Love your work, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a toughie. It depends on what context we're talking there, isn't it?
I can generalise it for you and tell you what it is. It's actually emotional blackmail
Yeah.
because you're trying to again.
Oh, it has to be,
It's
hey?
emotion. It's like you need to feel differently.
Because that's actually, you could reword that to be productive, but that's
Oh, of course
actually
you could.
attacking. That's
Yeah, and that's
very,
right.
yeah.
And we can unpack emotional blackmail, but we won't because
No,
there's something biting me.
Yeah, we got to
Then my
wrap up
hat
soon.
from
We haven't got
my
enough time to talk about emotional blackmail.
I know. Thank you. It's a great question,
It is a
Lorraine.
great
You are
question.
a dead set junkie
Yeah.
of these Friday hours, and we love having you on. So thank you so much. Now, unpack this for me. Listen to these words for me very, very quickly.
Just keep looking at that question. It's
So,
interesting.
yeah. So thank you very much, Lorraine, for coming on this afternoon and asking questions. So four's the first thing.
Yes.
Because, Lorraine, it really helps us unpack these topics and we feel like we can add more value.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for coming on today
Thank you.
in this session.
Definitely. Yes.
So what are the three things that I've said? Oh, go, you
lots
go.
of
So I've said 4. So now let's get right down to what are your thoughts about care factor leadership? He's been a dickhead.
I know he is. Yeah. I just saw that and I'm like,
I'm going to tell you tonight when I get home because he's probably with my son drinking somewhere. Now,
you know what? Now tonight you can expect a
Thank you
full
for having me.
rundown from Anton
yeah.
answering that question,
yeah.
Jayden.
Oh, yeah. You'll get a full rundown.
Yeah. Hope you got
Now-
some beer at home.
Yeah. Well, Zaki's out this week, so we just started going week on, week off with the
Thank
beer.
you, Lorraine. We enjoy having
Thank you
you,
for having
and
me.
we always have your support. I know that you
Yeah,
get.
and she's beautiful.
She actually gets.
She gets put out when we don't
really
do this.
upset
I
if
know.
she messages and
And
why,
I get the
why
message.
is there no line
Where's
today?
the line?
Yeah.
which I really love. But I just want to unpack this very quickly
Yes,
before the end
do
of
it.
this.
So what are you for? There's
so-
four.
So I've said thank you for.
Yes.
Be very, very clear and
So you're
specific.
specific about what you're thanking them for.
Then it's why I'm thankful.
Okay.
What did it do for me and
Yeah.
you? What,
So it made
what's
it
the
made us
benefit?
feel, or it made us
Now
prepare
you're
better, or
talking
it
in
made
emotions.
us.
It
Yeah.
made us feel
Okay.
great to have you on.
Yeah.
I was a bit more specific, and I said it helped us
Yes.
unpack the topics that we're talking
Yeah.
about. And then the third one was when. So it's today. Thanks for coming on today, because the questions that you've asked
Specific
today.
about time, like when. Yeah.
Here's the 3 words. On period.
Yeah.
Sorry. On point, which is the fourth.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
On purpose, which is so what it's done for us.
Yeah.
And then on period,
Which
when.
is the how. Oh, the when. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
You guys are great. I'll be in Perth in October. I'm still tuning in. See, Anton didn't use but. No, very cool.
Oh,
She's
she's
on.
learning.
Lorraine, you are the girl.
Yes.
We're gonna have to
she
get you.
is.
We're gonna have to get her. Why don't we get you?
We
on
should
one
get
day,
you on,
Lorraine. We'd love to.
Yeah, we should definitely.
Next Friday. Come and see us.
So they were the points at the talk you gave in Rocky.
I'm resilient. I'm
At the end, yeah. So that was.
So we spent 27 minutes talking about why you recognise,
Yeah.
and we had some emotional experiences to see, oh, gee, that felt right. So, okay, now I understand it deep down in my heart. So that will change my behaviour, hopefully. Oh, by the way, this is how you do it. You get on point, you get on purpose, and you get on period.
Yeah.
So they're the 3 things that if you want to know the hows, that's what they are.
Okay.
And it was like, right, I get that. So why it's important, and if I go and do that, when you line those 2 up, the penny drops, hopefully we'll see change.
So that's really the, I suppose, the roadmap to recognition, as far as
go you! Talking like a true public speaker. The roadmap to recognition.
roadmap to recognition. So we need to follow those 4 steps to actually get the message across and be clear about it, without it being misunderstood or not sound genuine.
That's right.
So
Perfect.
yeah,
Nailed it.
yeah. Okay. You're great, guys. I will be in. Oh, she
Shane
just said
Ford,
that
eh,
she'll
bro?
be in Perth. That's a big
Thanks
trip.
for joining us, Shane. Yes.
Yeah,
lovely.
hey, Shane.
More love. Thanks, girl.
Right.
So let's talk about it very, very quickly. So that's sort of leadership.
Yeah.
What about life? Talk me through care factor in life. What's care factor in
Oh,
life?
look, I think I think you just you need to practice that. You need to be good at it. It change your life.
Your world once you
Change
care
your
factor.
life. And it's as simple as we've talked about walking past a stranger in the street and just smiling. I've always said you run into a stranger serving you behind the counter and they are in a bad mood. And my first response, I've always taught my teams, when I've worked in teams, I've always taught them to say, are you having a bad day? You know, someone's serving you and you can tell they're not themselves or they're cranky. Rather than saying your customer service is shit, actually ask them the question, are you having a bad day? Because it makes them actually light bulb
Snap out.
on and they go, oh my God, how am I coming across? You might get a shitty response like, no, I'm not.
Right, yeah.
I'm just shit at customer service.
Or you might get, yes, I am.
Or you might get, oh, I'm really sorry, I am actually having a bad day. You know,
Mum
my
just
dog
died.
died this morning or whatever, or my mum or dog, yeah. So I think that, just being caring enough to be aware. Be aware if, someone's acting differently in your office. Be aware if your children aren't right. And I actually experienced this with my daughter last week, and I just could tell the tone of her voice on the phone wasn't the same. And she had worries, but she knew I had stuff going on and she didn't want to load it onto me.
Give them a smile, absolutely.
Be aware enough to ask a question or to drop in for a cup of tea, or if you have friends or staff, or I had a staff member who was going through some issues while I was recovering, and it wasn't until I got back that she unloaded some of that stuff on me, and she was worried about loading more shit onto me when I was already going through what I had to. But I recognised from the way she was not reacting in the same way and wasn't. And I love her to death for not loading, wanting to load that stuff onto me.
At
but
the
I
same
think
time, though, you're there to help her.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's also in your actions, Anton.
Smiles cost us
So I love being a part of any sort of fundraising or charity work, or I think it gives you, I stood up and emceed my Rotary Passports trivia night a couple of weeks ago at the Bowls Club. The feeling that I got and I didn't go close to doing anywhere near the amount of work. Alexandra Harron, who organised the evening for our passport group, it was to raise money for 7 women, and to calculate how much money we'd raised at the end of the night and know how much of a difference that made. I donated. I donated a scholarship for one of the girls. $150 can educate a young girl over in Nepal. I donated $100. So when we raised $5,000 for the night, the only thing I did, I donated a prize and I emceed the night. But the feeling of going, how many lives will that change? To be a part of that. I think in life, when you, even in a small way, if you can put some spare change in a money tin at the, for an organisation to help. If you can, I'm currently, and please take this as a save the date, I will publicly announce right now. Last year,
you heard it here first on Guins and Ros.
Last year, yes, this is a public announcement.
You haven't told me this.
I haven't told you this. Last year, I was fortunate enough to help organise the CQ Emergency Services Appreciation Day in December. We held it at the Rocky Glen Hotel. We gave drinks to all the emergency services all day. We did auctions. We had food stalls. We are doing it again, folks. I am in the throes of organising with Graham, who's the manager of the Rocky Glen. We have set the date. So the 14th of December at the Rocky Glen. It's going to be bigger than better than last year, because last year we only had 2 weeks to organise it. Already got the Fireys involved. So we are having it again on the 14th of December. It's going to be a massive day to show our appreciation to all the emergency services in our region. And they're the things that it just lights a fire. Well, pardon the pun. It actually lights a fire in me knowing that the feedback I've got from last year from the Fireys to actually, amazing. So to actually know they had a chance to all catch up, debrief. They can't talk out in the field when they're fighting bushfires. So they had the day to let their hair down, have a few drinks, and we raised money. We raised $10,000 last year, and they've actually bought a communications trailer with it.
Communication factor in life and love, right there.
And that's what I love doing. Find your care factor in life. Find what you can do for the community. Find your care factor. You need to be able. People who are not caring. Find your care factor. What's your care factor? It might be training your kids' netball team. It might be volunteering at the school for tuck shop or reading. It might be doing fundraising for your community. Look at Leanne Patrick. She just won that amazing volunteer award. And I just think, God, people like that in our community
are just role models.
Unbelievable. But you know what? It might be as simple as walking along the street and seeing a homeless person sitting there and giving them a blanket. Have some care factor.
Runner. Go the runners.
And that's what I think. We're talking running again.
4 hours?
Everyone should have a care factor, and I think that being involved in the community, being involved just as a person in general, actually loving other human beings enough to, it's supporting. Did you go to the men's walk?
Of course.
So tell me, how did that make you feel? As far as your care towards that cause, how did that make you feel?
Blew me away.
Was there a lot of people there?
Yes, probably 10.
Did it actually emotionally touch and get to you, Anton?
So I was walking with a guy who'd lost a son 5 years ago, and this spun me out, and this broke my heart. Still does to this a week later. I shared it with Zach, and I just had to unpack it for myself. And I said, how you feeling? How are you feeling, bro? He said, I don't have any emotions anymore. And it just broke my heart, man. Because what happened was, 5 years ago, they lost a child. Still together, youngest of 5. And the psychologist talking to the family said to him, you have to be the strength in the family. You've got to support your wife and kids.
Wow.
So he said for 4 years, that's all he did.
He carried it.
So then he said a year ago, they didn't need him anymore because finally they'd stopped breathing. Well, they got to a point where they were strong enough. It took them 4 years to get strong enough to carry on in life without him supporting them every day.
Wow.
And he said after 4 years, the worst part was losing the child. Even worse was losing his self-worth because he didn't feel like his family needed him anymore. This was,
wow.
excuse the language, but it was an effing unbelievably deep, emotional conversation that I don't have with men very often, and it just blew me away, Ross. Like, I was shattered when I went home. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I can imagine that would have been tough.
And like, all you can do is you don't sympathise, because he doesn't want you to say, "Oh, it'll be all right, mate," because he knows it's not. But he needs empathy, and you know, you just got to hold that space with him and say, "Shit, man, you know, I can't understand what you're going to go through." In saying that, tell me more though, because I'm here with you. Sympathy is I feel for you, and empathy is I'm with you.
Yeah.
So you got to hold that space with him, right?
So as far as care factor goes, you could have just cut that conversation off and walked away because
I was
you
so uncomfortable.
didn't know how to respond, or you were uncomfortable.
You can't.
But you know, when we talk about caring in life, you can't just cut someone like that off.
Because that's caring is empathy. You've got to hold that space. And don't ask. And don't ask if you don't want to hear.
No.
How are you feeling, bro? And on a men's walk.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I thought someone might say, "Oh, I'm going home. You know, I'm feeling bad." Go the Harley riders. Good on you. Harley riders unite.
Yes, that's true. Care factor is sometimes just listening.
Yes.
Who are you waving to?
A client who won't return my text or call.
He just ignored you. Maybe he's ignoring your calls. He's still not looking at you.
She's the two ex-school people.
Oh, he's waving to the table next door.
You can if you want to. How are you, love?
So you know, when you talk about care factor, and
that's what empathy is, listening.
Or sometimes it's just time. Sometimes it's literally nothing. Nobody's speaking. It's just, I mean, I have been in situations where, you know, had friends whose kids have committed suicide, or they've lost a parent, and you know what? Sometimes you just don't need to say anything. You need to be with somebody.
And you certainly can't fix anything.
No. And sometimes you might not know what to say, but there is nothing to say.
After the last suicide that we had in Gladstone, probably 2 years ago now, the young guy, I was presenting out of Bellaware.
I don't think that was the last one, but it was
the last
one we're aware of.
Sorry.
I know what you mean.
Last public profile one. Yeah, thank you. I was presenting the next day, or 2 days later, and it was 2 years ago, and the kid was Zach's age, so I had a son the same age, so it was quite deep. And I was presenting to this group, and one of the people in the group was his best mate. And there's two guys in the group, and they were talking about having a conversation about suicide. These are young males. And one guy said, unbelievable, he said, and his mate was in there who were having this conversation. This is how deep it got. We were doing a safety induction, for Christ's sake.
Oh, God.
And he said, I didn't know how to do this with my mate, because I couldn't fix it. Like at 18 or 19, they thought they had to fix it. And that's the thing that we probably... See, I always say, and you and I probably have done this topic a fair bit, males are good at expressing their emotions if they feel like they've got someone to listen to. I still believe that males aren't good listeners.
No, I think a lot of men struggle with that because we're in a society where it's seen as a sign of weakness in boys to show emotion or to engage in those sorts of conversations. I think we're getting better because there's a lot more public
You're talking about
awareness
the expression again, though.
Well, it's both things. I think it's, you know, you can talk about your emotions, Anton, but a lot of guys just can't do that.
Yeah, I know, but would imagine if they could if you had a good listener. I can share my emotions with you.
Yeah, but you know what? I still don't think. I honestly, I know guys who will not talk about emotions. They feel like it's a. They feel like it's well, you know, that like we've talked about the different generations. You know, our parents were raised differently.
He's my favourite coach.
Our
Chris
parents.
Duncan, all that. Hey, boom, legends. Good on you, bro. And Ros is a future client too, mate, by the way. So Up to year, probably not next year, maybe the year after. Starting a speaking career. This is the guy's program I said you got to be in.
Awesome.
So thanks, man.
Hi, Chris. We will have to catch up.
We will have to catch up.
Yes, we
I'll
will.
connect you with Ros.
But I think you're different to a lot of most other men.
Men,
I will have
right.
to say, because you find it. You're a great guy for people who will listen to guys. Because you open up and you're comfortable with talking about your emotions.
Bye, Sharon.
And I think that's why you've got a really good connection with a lot of men and women, because you are easy to talk to, but you communicate well.
Thanks.
But I think there are a lot of guys who are raised in a generation where, don't be a sook, boys don't cry. The Gillette ad, have we talked about the Gillette ad? I'll have to show you the Gillette ad. It's about, talking about men showing their emotion more and being more aware of their feelings and listening and showing that care factor.
Yeah.
And I really hope that generationally we get better at that. I really think we are. Your kids would talk about their emotions a bit easier than you were able to with your parents.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm the same, I think as a whole, men and women, we're probably, my kids teach me so much. My kids' generation teach. Look at that young girl that walked up before. With my daughter.
Care factor high. What can I do for you?
Care factor.
What can I do for you?
How are you going organising Sarah's party? I said, I'm a bit overwhelmed. It's coming up quickly. She said, if you need anything, I'm always here. And Anton and I were like, wow.
Holy shit. We were just
look
blown
at that
away.
sun. I'm just glowing. Oh, look, I've got an aura.
Hey,
look
you're
at how
glowing.
I am.
Oh, you got a rainbow around you.
That's my aura.
Isn't that beautiful? You're like a saint.
We have to go soon.
See,
We're
here's
past
the
that.
thing, though. Here's the thing.
Thanks for joining us, Sharon.
Yeah, thanks,
Have a
Sharon.
good afternoon, darling.
Like, I can talk to you really openly and easily
Yes.
because you're a great listener. I saw someone put on Facebook, I think this thing about men listening is really starting to sink. Might have even been you. Someone said it was like in a men's health group, and they said, just put this question out to everyone. If you're a man, who would you like to talk to, another man or a woman? Now, that is a deep question.
That.
And now, what that question is asking is, here's what that question is actually saying. What gender do you think listens better?
Women.
Of course.
Without a doubt.
So, what is it that...
Small.
So what is it that we can do to get men to listen to their buddies better and to ask better questions? And to when you say, how you doing, bro, that's not a good question. When they say, yeah, good, the next what you got to follow
that's
up
a closed question.
you got to say, how are you really?
Yes.
And then don't say anything. Hold the space. The silence does the heavy lifting. How you going, bro? Yeah, good. How are you really?
Isn't
mate?
that just a generic question answer? We do it how many times a day?
1,000.
Do you say, hey, how you going? Yeah, good.
Right.
Like, seriously,
I know.
I've said good, and it's come out of my
In my
mouth,
mouth.
and in my mind I'm going, I actually feel like shit, and I've got a million things on my mind, and I'm anxious, and I feel like bursting into tears. Honestly, we just go, how you going? Good.
And the challenge is,
How you been? Good.
we accept it.
Yes. We need to change our questioning and answering, and we need to. And you know what? How was Are You OK Day?
Right.
The communication between people, it's just
ramps up for that day.
And instead of saying, how you going? Good. People said, are you okay? And a lot that's opening up so much dialogue, and it should be like that every day.
All the time. I agree.
Every day. I really have to run
Yeah,
soon
me too.
because I am
Let's get out of
running.
here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
I just
Hope
need
you
to
learned
wee.
a bit about car care factor.
I've needed to wee since
Have a
about
great
minute
week.
14.
I'm going to beat you.
I'll go get out of it. Thanks, love.
Have a great
See you
week.
soon.